So now we have our production data and we have our PVT. So we have PVT and production data, that's given. And we just did some decline very quickly, and we should be able to now calculate our bottomhole pressures. What you see here in the bottomhole pressure feature is that we actually have uploaded gauge pressures versus time for this well. In addition, we've already provided some uploaded well deviation surveys, as you can see an example of here. So this plot right here provides you with the perforated interval and also the TVD versus MD. So basically the deviation from the vertical. Okay. So we need a deviation survey. We need some simple wellbore configuration data. So here we have a casing and we have a tubing, but we saw that we were flowing through tubing from day one. So the tubing data is actually the only thing that matters during tubing flow. And then the casing data comes into play when we're starting to deal with gas lift. Then in this case, we're dealing with only one gas lift mandrel. That gas lift mandrel is placed at 8,000 feet deep. So once you have set that, the only thing you need to do is to click calculate. And when you're calculating bottomhole pressures in Whitson Plus, we're actually calculating 4 different correlations at the same time. Those 4 different correlations, they are the Beggs and Brills, the Hagen and Brown, Voldemort and Gaillard and Gray. Typically, you say that gray is used for dry gases, wet gases, and also gas condensates. Hagen and Brown you typically use for oils. Beggs and Brills you tend to say that you like to use for liquid-rich type of systems. And Voldemort and Gaillard is one of these correlations that try to cherry pick between, depending on flow regime, etc., the best correlation. Okay. What we see here in the bottomhole pressures is that when you calculate bottomhole pressures, there can be a lot of noise introduced from, for instance, uncertainties in water rates or any of the rates really, or also just uncertainty in the surface measured pressures. So what you can do in the tool is to click this drop-down menu right here and say, okay, I don't want to use the measured BHP and I don't want to use any of the raw calculated numbers, but I would like to use the custom bottomhole pressure. The custom bottomhole pressure, what that provides you with is this window where you can visually edit the bottomhole pressure points and smooth them out, etc., graphically. So what you saw that I did now is that I'm using the measured pressure as my basis. Let's just, for example purposes, say that we want to use Hagen and Brown, and I would like these points on the curve to be sampled every 60th day. And when I then click out of it, you see that we have a point every 60th day. Then I can, in addition, click this button right here, and I can add points where, especially in the beginning, I see that there's a lot of changes that I would like to try to capture. So I can just click in between points here. And then I can also move these points around if I would like to do that. If you'd like to, let's say you've added, now I added maybe 1 point too much. Maybe I didn't like this point right here. Maybe I add one here and I would like to remove it. I just simply take this and put it to the left of the plot. When I'm happy with all my plots, I just simply click save, and what you'll see is that we now have a custom bottomhole pressure profile, a smooth profile that I've added manually that I can then go ahead and use instead of, for instance, using Hagen and Brown as calculated. Okay, because we typically would anticipate that these spikes here, for instance, are just purely an artifact of uncertainty. And that brings me into a very important part of the bottomhole pressures, is that since we have all these alternatives to use custom BHP, etc., what we need to do is to pick the one time series that we would like to use in either our flowing material balance, our analytical RTA, and our numerical RTA, and our numerical model, or anywhere where bottomhole pressures are needed. So when I set this drop-down menu to be custom bottomhole pressure, I'm basically saying that this yellow line is what I'm going to use when it comes to pressures in all the other features that uses bottomhole pressure.